Well. Folks, we are back, and we are going to be discussing a variation of things today. We're going to go from war to censorship to really, really weird writing. Because, yeah, this week was an odd week in news, but if nothing else, at least one of the things will at least be funny to talk about. So, yeah. This is going to be pretty cool. So, folks, we're going to go ahead and get this party started. Welcome, once again, to another episode of On the Grind. Alright. So, before we start getting into the meat of things, I have with me this week our social media manager, Serena.
Hello.
And our editor-in-chief, Mike.
Hello.
And this week, I have the review. And first, I was originally supposed to review K-pop Demon Hunters, because I promised Serena I would. But I was actually not able to get around to watching it, because I have been working on a bunch of stuff. So, instead, what I'm going to be reviewing this week is a war film that I watched a couple of weeks ago. It's one that I had been putting off for a while. But given that I am working on the script for a mecha book for the future, I found this one to be relevant to what I'm going to be doing with it. So, the movie that I watched is called All Quiet on the Western Front. Some of you out there who watch war movies just heard those words and went, "Oh fuck." Yeah, it's that one. The 2022 movie that came out of Germany. So for those who don't know, All Quiet on the Western Front, which is translated from German as Im Western nichts Neues, I think is how you pronounce it, which means in the West, nothing new. It is a story that was penned by a German veteran of World War I. It talked about basically what it was like to be in the trenches and seeing the no man's land at the tail end of World War I. Now, for those unaware, because we have a lot of young viewers, now, I'm pretty sure there's no living veterans of World War I. It's impossible. There couldn't be. But basically, the stories that we know about World War I is that it was incredibly brutal, largely because it didn't really have a whole lot of movement. It was what we know of the term trench warfare comes from this time period. Effectively, both sides would dig trenches on each side of a battlefield, defensive positions. They would mount machine guns, place snipers, and stay there. And there would be points where the other side would launch artillery, and then they would try to charge, and then it wouldn't work. And the other side would launch mustard gas or something like that, and they would charge, and it didn't work. It was basically a war of inches, and it didn't get broken until later on, largely by a combined force of American, British, and Canadian forces. The Americans specifically, we sent a lot of forces. Like, I think we sent over 1 million. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, 4.7 million. we sent a lot of people. We had a draft, so yeah. And the quote that was from one of the generals during World War One, General James Harbord had said, it was something like, we dig no trenches to fall back on. Basically, the idea is that, look, America is coming. We're coming with this new thing called tanks, and we're not going, or the Marine Corps is not going to, we're not doing this trench warfare bullshit. We're coming over there, and we're going to fucking kill all of you. And one thing that's interesting in this film is that we don't see the American forces. We just hear about them from the Germans, and the Germans sound fucking horrified. And for good reason. The same way that if they had mentioned the Canadians, they would probably sound horrified, because the Canadians did some fucked up shit in World War One.
Oh god, didn't they? Holy fuck.
Mike, do you want to tell the story of the cans of food and the grenade?
So there was this Canadian, this is going to sound kind of fucking weird, the way I'm saying it, but this is my favorite Canadian war crime. So there was a trench in which Germans were being drawn to by Canadians throwing like cans of food into it, and they would throw these cans of food into it, and then it got to the point where the Germans were like, more, and after they heard more, they threw a live hand grenade into that same spot. And the Geneva Conventions at that point weren't a thing. They were more or less a response to not only Canadian behavior, but German behavior, French behavior, British behavior, and I think the British were at least being able to pretend that they were civilized in that war. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. But trench warfare brought about like different ways that they had to get around it. One British general literally he's like, you know what, fuck this noise. Starts digging a tunnel underneath the trenches, all the way to the German lines, puts a bomb underneath it, and just blows it up. Took him months to do it, and he's like, you know what, fuck it. Just fuck it. We're done with this. This is fucking stupid. But effectively, this tells the story from the German perspective. What were you going to say, Mike?
Oh, frick. That reminds me of that one time when they blew up that the largest non-nuclear explosion was because of the mining like that. Oh, goodness. They blew the shit out of the Germans using it. Oh. So many firsts in that war.
Yeah.
Too many firsts.
I think this is the first major war where chemical warfare was being used. Because, folks, you got to understand, for those who do not know, this is kind of delving into war politics, but whenever you hear the term weapon of mass destruction, it actually is not just reviewing, I said reviewing, I didn't mean that. It's not just referring to nukes. It refers to three specific types of weapons. Nuclear, duh. Biological, so viruses and things like that. Because, like, weaponized Ebola is a thing, which is fucking frightening. And then chemical weapons. The chemical weapons used in World War I are considered weapons of mass destruction. Sarin gas, mustard gas, things along those lines. We would see these used by Saddam Hussein on the Kurds. We see it a lot there are Muslim jihadists who really want to get their hands on this shit and to use them on their own people.
Relatively easy to make.
Yeah.
Relatively.
Yeah, the sad thing is like making a chlorine bomb, not that hard. But regardless,
well, I shouldn't actually explain that.
Yeah, we won't go too deep into it. But regardless, so famous book got turned into a movie made by Americans back in, I want to say like the 1930s. And it's a really good movie because it was applauded for being like one of the more brutal depictions of war in a film, because it wasn't trying to be it didn't really have like an America fuck yeah sort of feel to it. And there's a specific shot from it that is infamous where there's a soldier running towards the enemy lines during a charge, and he gets to the line, but a mortar or a grenade or something hits him, and then the dust clears, and all that's left is a pair of hands holding on to some barbed wire. It's really disturbing, but this film is made by Germans, directed by a gentleman named Edward Berger, who apparently he's an Academy Award winner for this particular film, and yeah, it's that good. It is that good, guys. This is legitimately one of the greatest war films I have ever seen. And I do not say that lightly. I love this film. So, the thing about this particular movie is that I am a big fan of when a film shuts the fuck up. It's not trying to moralize to you or anything like that. It lets you see things and come to your own conclusions. Because it doesn't insult your intelligence that way. Any person that is sensible knows that war is bad. Any person that is sensible, that has read anything about war, knows that it is horrifying. The term war is hell exists for a reason. And again, speaking as a friend to many veterans, you have to be a special type of person to fight in it. And one thing, in one group of people that will oftentimes tell you just how fucking bullshit it is soldiers. Like, and I'm not kidding, folks. Like, soldiers know that that their CEOs are full of shit a lot of times. Ask a Marine who fought in Iraq what they think of General Mattis. You will get a fucking earful. And it'll be true, because Mattis was a fucking idiot. He mismanaged that war pretty badly. But, regardless, what All Quiet on the Western Front does as a film is it effectively takes you through what I would call the life cycle of a grunt. From recruitment all the way to the end. And it kind of shows an uncompromising view of the German military and its attitudes at the time, which were not good. The German generals were fucking morons. They were too nationalistic. They were not sensible enough leaders. They consistently would march their men into impossible situations, only get steamrolled by the Allies later in the war.
Well, the Entente at the time. That's the more confusing thing, is that our side was the Entente.
Mm-hmm.
Their side was the Allies, which is so very strange. Anyway.
Yeah. But basically, they would be put through the ringer. Also, one thing I must say, I'm really happy that they got Daniel Bruhl to be in this film. For those, if the name sounds familiar, he is the guy in the MCU who played Baron Zemo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great actor. I loved. He's amazing as Zemo in Civil War. Like, he's really good. But he comes in playing one of the German politicians in it, and he does a tremendous job. I really like him as an actor. But basically it follows a group of grunts, who mostly are from the same school. But our main character we'll just call him Paul. Paul is a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young man that gets talked into the military by a patriotic speech from one of his elders. Many such cases, oftentimes it's those speeches are what get people into serving, and there's a lot of really good ones. And so he goes in with several of his buddies, and basically what you see is like the death of innocence in slow motion. It is horrifying to watch because the trenches are unforgiving. You got to understand, folks. Like, you would have one trench on one side, you have one trench on the other side, and you would have what's called no man's land. It was just mud and death. It smelled like corpses, not just corpses that had been left out there to rot. Because if you tried to go get your dead, the enemy would just shoot you. The only people I think that they wouldn't shoot sometimes were the medics.
And they specifically had to have no weapons.
Yep. So it was really bad. And these young men get introduced to it like on their first or second day in the trenches. They see a guy literally get blown to smithereens by a mortar, and I mean like at close range. Like the dude is in the doorway to a room in one of the trench areas. The mortar lands directly behind him, like right behind his heels. And for those who have never seen a mortar explosion, there's nothing. If you are standing above that round when it hits the ground, you do not exist anymore. You become paste. So, and they see that, and this dude literally just flies everywhere onto all these young men. They start panicking. They start going crazy. They get out of there because the shelling causes the room to collapse. It's really bad. And that's day one. And it shows effectively what happens in the better part of a year, like the last year of the war. They meet, this group of boys meets a experienced soldier named Kat, who is kind of like your mustachioed, typical German soldier from World War I, kind of like what you would expect. Like when you think World War I German soldier, like when you picture that in your mind, that's basically what he looks like. But Kat and Paul become good friends, and they actually form a really cool friendship along with the two other guys, and just as time goes on, they all end up dying one at a time. One guy gets roasted alive by a flamethrower even after he surrenders, which let me just put it this way, folks. Like the French, when they came over those lines, when the tanks came in to back them up, when they finally started rolling past no man's land and just started rolling through people, the French didn't give a fuck. Everybody dies. They were pissed. So, you see that. You see, like, a dude, like, a tank goes through a trench. Not over it, through it. And literally just squashes a guy, and you watch him get turned into paste. It's fucking gross. But what ends up happening is there is there's a, just like another guy commits suicide by tearing out his fucking jugular with a fork because he might lose one of his limbs, and just the stress of it just drives into madness. It is uncompromising with the horrors of war. It is uncompromising with the political situation that the French were basically saying, look, when we say you disarm fucking everything. We don't even want you to have trains after this war. Because that's what the French did. And the Germans, they didn't have room to negotiate at all. Like, because you had France, you had Canada, you had the United States, and you had the English all bearing down on them. And they were ready and willing to kill everybody. It was not a pretty sight. So, you had German military commanders that wanted everybody to die, except for them. They stayed in their mansions. Because this was still a point in time where if you were a general, you tended to come from a wealthy family. So, I don't want to spoil how the book ends, or how the movie ends. Just understand that if you want to know what war is, I always tell people to watch really good war films. Because I'm in a complicated place whenever it comes to the military. I grew up, my dad was a sergeant in the Army. He was an assistant drill instructor. I don't think that I would have the self-discipline that I have, and just in regards to a work ethic, if it wasn't for the lessons that he imparted to me that he learned from the Army. I know guys that have fought in the bloodiest conflicts over in the Middle East during the global war on terror. Guys, I have friends I went to high school with who fought in Fallujah both times. And well, some of the guys I know that fought in both weren't guys that I went to high school with, but I know people that have fought in both. I had people that I went to high school with that fought in the second battle. Like, it's horrifying. But at the same time, they wouldn't change anything. Because at the same time, they don't regret the people that they are today. So, what I usually say is, like, if you are built different, the military is probably for you. But at the same time, I would tell people to watch a war film like this and other uncompromising war films like Saving Private Ryan or a series like The Pacific, and then ask you, or Black Hawk Down or The Hurt Locker are also kind of good ones about like current conflicts that are going on in the world and what you would see. And then ask yourself if this is what you want with your life. And if the answer is still yes, go for it. But
goddamn, bro.
Yeah. Like I said, anybody that I know that's ever gone into the military volunteered, they're built different. They're just that guy, But and I'll never shame somebody for their military service either, ever. But at the same time, there needs to be a sobering understanding of what war is. And what a horrible choice it is to have to wage it, because this is what happens. And yeah, I very much believe that this is, again, one of the most sobering war films ever, but it's also easily one of the greatest that I think has ever been made. And I still need to watch Dunkirk. I hear that one's really good too. There's other ones that I want to watch, but as it stands, like, this is the sort of thing that I really want people to understand. This is what happens outside of our white picket fences, and it's something that needs to be understood, in my opinion. So, but yeah, phenomenal film. It's on Netflix. If you want to watch it, you could probably buy it on like physical media or something like that if you prefer that. But definitely watch it. It is very much well worth your time. All right. Let's talk about censorship.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. We didn't really get to this last week because we were talking a lot about the whole V Shoujo thing. Plus, that was the week that both Ozzy and Hulk Hogan died. Like, there was not really a whole lot of room to talk about things along those lines. So, I do need to step away for a moment. Mike, would you mind getting the audience caught up, you and Serena, on what has been going on with Collective Shout and all that stuff?
Okay, so if anyone has been paying attention for the last 3 weeks, all of a sudden Steam and what was it, itch.io, two very big game marketplaces on the internet right now, and with Steam being the largest, were suddenly given ultimatums by their payment processors. They have to remove a number of titles that have a number of questionable topics, that otherwise, if they don't remove these titles with questionable topics in them, they will face the loss of being able to payment process. And a great deal of these are, well, they are extraordinarily questionable, because then you have things like you can't have depictions of rape, you can't have depictions of incest, you can't have depictions of this, that, and the other. What else is there? More specifically, there was depictions of lolicon, shotacon, all that sort of stuff. But the problem with this is that it's never just the one thing you don't like. It's always something else. Someone else will find offense with it. So anyway, the reason this all started happening is that there's this group called the Collective Shout, a group of feminists that operate out of Australia, and they had been badgering in their country the Mastercard and Visa for the last couple months, because they were trying to badger Valve for their policies, and Valve has basically ignored them because who cares, they're Australian. So they went after the payment processors, and as a result, the payment processors are way too how do I put this? They are a little censor happy, because they get to do something that they've always wanted to do, considering the owners of the group are Mormons, who are very anti-porn themselves. And so the Mastercard and Visa both collectively have used their duopoly powers to effectively censor not only Steam but itch.io, and which resulted in Steam removing a number of titles from their marketplace, as well as itch.io completely just de-ranking and delisting all their titles on their marketplace. That includes the stuff that was already paid for, stuff that you may have already liked, this, that, or the other. But the Collective Shout has been more or less the face of this operation, and as a result, what's come up right now is that Valve has actually fired back at all this right now, because MasterCard and Visa have both put out statements claiming that they're not responsible for censoring anything on the internet. But Valve put out a statement stating that no, our payment processor straight up cited these particular rules from MasterCard, stating that this is the reason why that they were no longer processing these titles. And so it's become apparent that not only is MasterCard and Visa both willingly engaging in censorship, but it's costing Valve money, a shit ton of money, an absurd amount of money.
Yep.
Because not only are there people that have weird interests, they have to it never ends with your weird interest. It started in Japan. They started going after loli down there, and they would not process payments for this, that, or the other down for if it had depictions of lolicon down there, and it never ends with that.
Yep, and that's largely what we've been seeing with this. So as you would imagine, there's been considerable backlash. And one thing that I have noticed about this is that now the backlash has been usually like this sort of thing. Like you would see the game journalists go after the gamers, right? Because that's just their MO. It's like, fuck the gamers, they're always wrong. And they're like, well, wait, no, this is bad because some of them like porn. There's that. But largely there has been like a bipartisan pushback against this, with people from everywhere saying, look, call Mastercard, email Mastercard, call Visa, email Visa, and tell them that this is fucking bullshit. Make your voice heard. Which you should. You absolutely should. And what ends up happening is we finally got a statement from Mastercard about this. So let me read this. This is from Mastercard News, their Twitter account. It says, clarifying recent headlines on gaming content. Mastercard has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. Our payment network follows standards based on rule of law. Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure MasterCard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content. Now, this got community noted immediately because it's a lie, quite frankly. Both Steam and itch.io had stated that their removal of adult content came from pressure by payment processors, including MasterCard. And they cited specifically that. And on top of that, Valve actually released a statement after Kotaku did an article about it. So this was updated on August the 1st. In a statement to Kotaku, a spokesperson for Valve said that while Mastercard did not communicate with them directly, concerns did come through payment processor and banking intermediaries. They said payment processors rejected Valve's current guidelines for moderating illegal content on Steam. So yeah, Mastercard didn't contact them; they used other people to contact them for them. But yeah, they rejected Valve's current guidelines for moderating illegal content on Steam, citing Mastercard's Rule 5.12.7. So this is, then they quote the direct statement. Mastercard did not communicate with Valve directly despite our request to do so. Mastercard communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks. Payment processors communicated this with Valve, and we replied by outlining Steam's policy since 2018 of attempting to distribute games that are legal for distribution. Payment processors rejected this and specifically cited Mastercard's Rule 5.12.7 and a risk to the Mastercard brand. So here's what Rule 5.12.7 states. A merchant must not submit to its acquirer, and a customer must not submit to the interchange system any transaction that is illegal or in the sole discretion of the corporation, may damage the goodwill of the corporation, or reflect negatively on the marks. That last part is what they are more pulling from. Basically the idea of, oh, well, people can buy this game that has like a flat-chested girl in it. We can't allow that. We're collective shout. Don't ask us our opinion on cuties. Yeah. So what ends up happening is, no, like, people are obviously not buying this. But basically, like, violations of Rule 5.12.7 can result in fines, audits, or companies being dropped by payment processors, which getting dropped by Mastercard and Visa effectively would, like, bankrupt you. Because how the fuck are you going to get paid? Which, by the way, if you have, like, you say, well, I'll go through PayPal. Well, if you use your PayPal debit card, that's a MasterCard. I would know I have one. You know? And then my bank goes through Visa for my debit. You know? So, like, how the fuck am I going to pay them? American Express? Nobody uses American Express for good reason. They fucking suck. So, the fact of the matter is, that they lied. And now we find ourselves in a position where people are starting to push against it. Recently, GOG.com stated that they were going to make certain games available, and they have flat out said that they will not bow to these things, and they will fight if they have to. I'm assuming that also means litigation.
I would hope so, but
yeah.
They don't have quite the greatest reputation against government or even corporate censorship, considering that they were. Remember Good Devotion, that little weird little Chinese game that came about, or I should say Taiwan?
Yeah.
And then it had like a little bit of mean things about their fucking the chairman.
Yep, and yeah, they got rid of that shit.
They folded like a fucking wet towel on that. So they don't have the greatest of reputations, let's say.
Yeah, they really don't. So, but that is something that happened. And then on top of that, we have effectively there are petitions that are calling for payment processors to stop controlling what we can watch, read, and play, which has over 150,000 signatures. But the fact is,
there's a bill in Congress, I think, called the Right Access to Banking Act that's being fought over right now. I certainly hope it doesn't get filled with pork, but it's probably, unfortunately.
There's two bills right now that are getting debated. There's that, and then there's the Kids Online Safety Act.
Oh God.
Yeah,
that's
the
first one right there.
Yeah, the Kids Online Safety Act, because this is another thing that's going on, is we're also starting to see, because this isn't just about video games, it's about the whole internet, where they're trying to add age controls to fucking everything.
Why?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like,
the internet is the parent. That's the parent's job to be monitoring what their kids are looking at.
Yeah, that's the point that I would make.
That's how these people's babysitters.
The conspiracist in me suggests that it might be due to the fact that the Zoomers are extraordinarily right wing, and it's the last authoritarians' ability to censor everything before the Zoomers get really, really pissed over the current state of things. Because all it's going to take is just like one match lit in the wrong spot.
Yeah,
they are mad.
Yep. But basically what this bill would do is on a federal level require anybody that has basic to add age controls effectively to the internet, which would mean that everybody would have to scan ID at some point to get access to certain materials. The problem with that
that's gonna be that's going to lead to a bunch of problems.
Yeah, because in this day and age, folks, cybersecurity is a fucking joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a yearly occurrence for me that some crypto bro gets past Google's security and all the things that they tell me to do to secure my account. They get past all of it and still hack my account.
And with the rise of like AI voices and all these people trying to be like, oh well, you can just use your voice as a passport, and then you have all these people that could potentially create databases of certain people's voices, like say podcasters or say familiar celebrities, and then just like abuse the voice systems on that. There's going to be ways around it, and I hate it.
And what people need to understand is that almost every criminal organization right now that exists on the planet is moving into cyber crimes. Because it's effective.
Getting easier.
Yeah, it's getting easier, and they don't do anything about it. Like, you can't go to the FBI, you can't go to the CIA, you can't, like, none of these, because they're not prioritizing the fact that Americans get stolen from. The banks basically have to reverse everything. And if you don't catch it in time, you lose a lot of money. So when it comes right down to it, like it's like, so now you want us to put our IDs on the internet?
No.
So that people can duplicate our fucking driver's licenses? Like, are you serious?
I got called a few days ago being told by Chase Bank that someone tried to open a bank in my name, and Vincent now telling me that someone's using my identity to open a bunch of accounts and send $9,000 to someone in the Cayman Islands who's on the FBI list.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this to the U.S. government right now. Unless you have a plan to kill fucking everyone in every cartel and mob and such, and every major criminal organization on the planet, this shit is not gonna work.
We need a free count.
Hell, prime example, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Remember the T app?
Yeah.
So there's this. Okay, for those that don't know, there was this application created for women only. The whole purpose is to more or less spread rumors about men and the
typical woman shit.
Yeah, typical woman shit, and and the entire purpose was to try and like warn other women about men. But one of the issues is that to get onto this website, you had to prove, or I should say, this application, you had to prove that you were a woman. And one of the ways to do that was to either upload a photo of your ID or a selfie, so that the staff could like come and identify you on the website. And boy, how did that fucking thing get exposed so fucking quick? So fucking quick. Like, the software on the back end, like all the security, there was no security. It was all public. There was no hack involved. That was by people that wanted to make money off this situation. I don't have any trust in a government having a database like that, considering that the the current state of the government, as it were, and bureaucrats. Oh my goodness, never mind the bureaucrats that would be created to frickin' do this. Like I can't trust like even like a low level bureaucrat, because in my province alone there was an incident like 5 years ago in which a government employee lost a thumb drive with a bunch of people's identifications on it, and then had to apologize for that when they started getting fucking used for crime.
Jesus Christ.
And that was a thumb drive. A thumb drive. Yeah. You want a giant database.
Not to mention, like, it's obvious that YouTube is by no means secure. They want to use an AI that judges on your search history whether or not you're an adult or not. Which, I'm gonna just say this right now, that's just not gonna work, because AI is not that reliable right now.
And how would they determine your age? How will you know? What would be the criteria for that AI to understand the difference between a teenager and an adult?
Right? Because like, imagine like you get into those weird nights where you just want to like watch some weird cartoons, right? From like, do you remember? Or like you want to see what the kids are watching right now, and all of a sudden YouTube's the AI is just like, oh, you're watching Blue's Clues or whatever the fuck. You're like 12. Go back to watching YouTube Kids.
But you're like 37.
But yeah, you're like 37. Maybe you just had like way too much weed that night. You just want to watch something fucking simple.
You just want to watch SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, it's none of the, and this is kind of like the one thing that gets my goat, is like, a lot of this is coming out of nowhere. the legislation just does not make any sense. Like, it's not well thought out, like, at all. Like, there's no protections for people whatsoever. It's just the government barking at you, telling you this is how it's gonna be. And like, what the fuck? Like, how do you think this is actually going to work? Like, or do you feel like there's not a world in which it works? Like, it's so stupid. So, as of right now, the unfortunate thing is that, like, the best that we can really do is to continue to put pressure, call your senators, call your representatives, tell them to vote against it. You know, make your voice known, because if you're not careful, this stuff will get introduced, and getting the camel's nose out of the tent is near impossible at that point. So,
and it's only going to get worse. I mean, like, I don't care for Lowly, but it's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. The thing you don't like, you have to protect as much as you can, because it's once the train starts, like, rolling, the boulder, as it were, starts rolling, it's impossible to stop.
Yeah, like that's why the only legislation that I've actually defended that has been proposed has been the Texas one, because their penal code is ultra specific. And that's what law needs to be. It needs to be ultra specific. It should not... You shouldn't be proposing laws that are full of holes and that are easily exploitable. You know, it's like... It's sort of the reason why I say it's like... The Texas laws does the one thing that a lot of these other dudes aren't doing. Don't sexualize children. It's very specific. Children, that word right there is what you should be focusing on. Not lolly. Don't play that game. Like that's I got into an argument with some pedos on Twitter. That's what I'm going to call them, because you all know, these guys know who they are, and they know that they are. They kept trying to bring up, well, you hate lolly. I said, I never mentioned it. I mentioned children. Don't sexualize children. Because I know what the game is, and I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to obfuscate. It's like, no. If you specify specifically a very specific term that means a very specific thing, it's that much easier to actually do the right thing. You know, obviously we all want children to be protected from terrible things, and child porn is fucking evil. That goes without saying.
Oh, it's genuinely terrible.
Yeah, but you cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. Pun not intended. So, and that's what a lot of this legislation seems to want to do, and nobody that is actually thinking about how this is going to affect the whole, well, not just America, but the world at this point, it's mind-boggling to me. I fucking hate it, and somebody needs to actually stand up for freedom of speech here, and there's just not a lot of people that are willing to do it, and it sucks. All right, let's talk about something hilarious. Oh, hey, Serena made a noise.
She made a
alive.
noise. Somehow.
Yeah. Just incredible discomfort.
Stop dying. Not allowed.
I'm not trying to die.
Shit gets complicated after that. Stop it.
But so this story is just funny because of how absurd it is. So we've talked about this before. I want to talk about it again. The concept of grim dark versus grim derp.
Herpaderp.
Grim dark is basically creating a universe where nothing ever seems to really be going right. It's terrible to live in. There's a lot of horrifying elements to it. And you gotta fight against all of it. It's not easy to do. Warhammer 40k created the term of grimdark. And because it comes from the tagline of, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Well, if there is one faction within the Imperium of Man that has the most grim derp, just dumb shit, that have been associated with them, it is the Grey Knights. So for those who don't know who the Grey Knights are, they are a group of Space Marines. They are all psychers. And their gene seed does not come from a Primarch, but rather from the Emperor himself.
Supposedly. It's hard.
Yeah.
They've never, completely, given, the explanation on, what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
It's always been mysterious.
And a thing to mention about these guys is that they are nigh uncorruptible. As in, the only one Grey Knight that we have heard of that fell to chaos apparently fought his way through the warp, and this is so fucking stupid because there's no way he could do it, and literally got to the throne of Slaanesh and then got corrupted.
Wait, he didn't get corrupted while on his way to Slaanesh? He just got corrupted the moment he reached the throne? That makes no sense.
It's fucking stupid. it's so fucking stupid.
So that journey for nothing.
Well, it gets worse. So they're incorruptible, right? That's part of their lore. So what they did at one point was they
murdered
a group of Sisters of Battle.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They did it to bathe their armor in their blood to become more incorruptible.
Why?
We'll get to that.
Oh boy.
There's a reason for this, but yeah, they did. So they did all that to become more incorruptible. And then we have Kaldor Drago, who tore the heart out of a Primarch, Mortarion to be specific, and carved the name of his predecessor in it before banishing him back to the warp using his true name. How he knows this, nobody knows, because nobody knows the demonic name of any of the demon Primarchs. That's part of the reason why they're so hard to put away. Keep in mind that Lionel Johnson had to force feed the Emperor's shield to Angron to kill him. And then, even then, Angron has already respawned.
As you do as a Demon Primarch.
Yeah. But fucking
it's so stupid. I hate it.
It's the dumbest shit. Guys, there's a reason that the reason that they meme on Cato Sicarius and they meme on Kaldor Drago so much in Emperor's TTS is because of one guy. Matt Ward.
Matt Ward.
Have you ever had... Hey, Micah, can I ask you something?
Yes, you may.
Have you ever had a tangerine?
Have you ever eaten a tangerine? Would you like to try one?
That's literally how I know this character from the TTS meme.
Because he's that fucking stupid in the lore, too. It's so dumb. Gate of infographic. The memes are so good. But the Grey Knights, folks, are a Matt Ward-ism. There are three major things that Matt Ward did and has done since he's worked at Games Workshop. He shat up the Ultramarines by making Cato Sicarius the bestest boy ever. He shat up the Grey Knights by, again, introducing just a bunch of stupid grim derp elements to them that never made any sense. And oddly enough, the one good thing he did was he took the Necrons and took them from just being Terminators to integrating elements of the Tomb Kings from Warhammer Fantasy, making them a parallel to them, and improving them significantly. For example, the character Trazen the Infinite was created by Matt Ward.
Which chaps my ass to know it.
It's so wild. Like, everything Space Marine he has ever done is fucking stupid. But goddamn, his Necron stuff is really good. I hate to admit it. I really...
Grey Knights. Oh,
yeah,
all his babies.
If it wasn't for Titus and God, what's his name? The captain of the Fourth Company. Uriel Ventress. If it wasn't for those two guys, the Ultramarines would not be worth shit. They'd be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be all Leandroses. We don't like Leandros here.
Fuck all Leandros.
So, there has been a piece of lore with the Grey Knights for a while in Warhammer 40k. It's called the Terminus Decree. The Terminus Decree is like their big secret.
They, when it was first introduced in 5th edition, it mentioned that they have this extra secret order called the Terminus Decree that they have no idea exactly where it came from, but it is sealed with a mark that matches that found on the Golden Throne of Terra. And grand speculation has always erupted over this Terminus Decree. Was it like an last order from the Emperor to do what exactly? It's never made clear. I believe the Space Wolves actually even fought with the Grey Knights over it. Like, over just the existence that it might be there. And the Grey Wolves have whooped the Grey Knights' ass.
Oh yeah, the Space Wolves, like, when they started actually fighting them, the Grey Knights weren't shit.
Mm-hmm. So, it's been about 5 editions, and they've always kept that Terminus Decree secret. Like, nobody knows what it is. So, cue fucking 10th edition dropping now with the Grey Knights. And you get to make, in 10th edition, you get to make all these fucking new-ass armies like the fucking... Like, you can field Custodes now, which is kind of great. You can field Sisters of Silence now, which is kind of great.
Yeah.
You can field all these neat little armies that were lore only for the longest time.
Not to mention, one thing that I also really like, because I played 10th, one thing I like about it is that because there's no, like, army specific for Space Marines, because I play Space Marines, since there's no army specific, like, way to play, it gives you more variation. Like, if you want to use successor chapters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to have an army full of Crimson Fists, because Pedro Cantor actually has a miniature. If you want to do an army full of Crimson Fists, and you have a play style that is a little bit more long range, you can play with the ability set that the Raven Guard use, and you can use like long range and vehicles and stuff like that if you want to. Like that sort of versatility is something I really dig about it.
Yeah, nice. Well, on the other hand, they simplified a whole bunch of rules and removed a bunch of flavor rules and whatnot. So that kind of chaps the ass, to be fair.
Yeah, because some people like it to be a little bit more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of why I'm glad that they have Horus Heresy. Because Horus Heresy like has a lot of that more like complicated style wargaming that a lot of people that like the real hardcore dudes really dig.
Mm-hmm. And then, but there's been a bunch of questionable lore decisions recently, including, outside of the Primaris thing.
What is the actual decree? What is being specifically said?
We're getting there.
So we'll get to that. I promise. We're getting to there. The questionable lore in this case, outside of like the Primaris like being introduced, because I get it. They wanted to make Space Marines a little bit larger so that way they don't have to get fine detail on the motherfuckers. All right, that's whatever. Okay, the galaxy split in half. Okay, fine. All right, the Primarchs are coming back. Okay, that's pretty cool actually.
Fuck yeah.
It was a little questionable. But they finally explained what the Terminus Decree is for the Grey Knights. The most questionable is putting it lightly. So, the Terminus Decree, given by the Emperor himself, in the event that the Emperor is reborn into a new body, rises up from in his own body, or becomes a god of some form, the Grey Knights are tasked with the grim task of hunting him down, using force if necessary, and bringing him back to the Golden Throne.
Why?
Because he said so.
Why would the Emperor say that? That's stupid.
Isn't it?
It's so ridiculous. So here's the thing about it.
Basically, ordered his supposed his supposed
sons.
Right, his opposed like faction or like group to hunt him down and put him back on his throne if he ever leads the Golden Throne.
So here's the gimmick with this, because like one thing about it is that I don't think the Emperor would have actually ordered this. This sounds like a Malkador thing.
This sounds like a Malkador thing, actually. Now,
because he's the one who created the Grey Knights.
Mm-hmm. And he was the one that was last on the throne. So if it was like listed as secretly this was signed by the Emperor, but actually was Malkador, that'd be great. But it's extraordinarily stupid when you consider how many fucking custodians are surrounding the Emperor at any given time.
Yeah, that's the big thing that makes no sense about this. Is the logistics of it make no sense. So there are 10,000 custodies. That's what they are called, is the 10,000. So there's 10,000 of them. Some of them out there are deployed out there in space. Like some of them are out there doing stuff. But the vast majority of the custodies are on Earth, are on Terra. So you have the custodies there. You have several guard regiments that are purely from Terra, like the Lucifer Blacks. You have the Sisters of Silence that work with the custodies, that are all blanks. So
and psychers.
Yeah. So and the Grey Knights are all psychers. So the logistics of it make no sense. Like, so they would come to Earth, and because I have the codex entry here. It says, the Grey Knights would themselves be the weapon on such a desperate day, one that would have to cut a path through the ranks of the Custodian Guard and many others to see its duty done. There's only one person in all of Games Workshop that thinks they could pull this off, and it's Matt Ward. Because Matt Ward does not think about these things. Because here's what would actually happen. Let's go with the least charitable version. So the Grey Knights do not follow the Codex Astartes. So they have more than 1,000 of them, for sure. So let's say they all come to Terra. With, first and foremost, if these guys all come to Terra, there's no reason that all the Grey Knights would come to Terra unless there's a demon there. So immediately the Custodian Guard is going to be on alert. And then the Grey Knights come down and they start opening fire. The first thing that's going to happen is they're going to start getting shelled by the Lucifer Blacks. And they could still get past it. Again, it's a chapter full of psychers and Terminator armor. But then the Sisters of Silence are going to get deployed. And what a blank will do to a psychic, it's more than just render them powerless, crippling mental pain.
Some of the worst can basically envelop the souls of psychers.
Yep. And then
Vacuum right out.
Yeah. So now in a physical fight, a Sister of Silence cannot kill a Space Marine. They're just not that. They're not built that way. A Custodes, on the other hand, they are specifically built to kill Space Marines.
One Custodes is worth 100 Space Marines, roughly.
Yeah. So the Custodes are going to outnumber the Grey Knights. Are capable of having people shut down their powers. They're going to roll right through them. Now let's go a little bit more. Let's say that they managed to dig in and actually start a war on Terra that lasts longer. Like the Custodes just stay there, and they're in a position where they have to work their way to the Golden Throne. The first thing that's going to happen is that the Astropaths are going to let two people know what's going on. I think more than anybody. They're going to let Gilliman know. They don't know the Lion is back. So they will let the chapter master of the Imperial Fists know. There's a reason for this. The Imperial Fists have something called the Iron Wall Protocol. The Iron Wall Protocol is horrifying because what it does is it takes the Imperial Fists and makes them a legion again. So right out of the gate, what's going to happen is the Phalanx is going to come out of the warp near Earth, along with the battle barges of the Black Templars, the Crimson Fists, and like the Celestial Lions, the Executioners, the Exorcists, the Hammers of Dorn, the Iron Knights, the Hospitalier, the Sons of the Phoenix. Like, there are 20, if I remember right, 20 successor chapters of the Imperial Fists.
And thanks to the Black Templars, there's like 30,000 fucking Black Templars running around, but it's kind of hard to keep track. Let's be real.
Yeah. So all of that is going to land behind the Grey Knights' lines. Plus, on top of that, you're also going to see all the Ultramarines. And led by Gilliman himself, and probably all of their successor chapters behind the Grey Knights' lines. And then the Grey Knights lose. Here's the here's the worst thing. The Lion finds out.
And then he enacts his bullshit. Oh my goodness.
Now here's the thing about the Dark Angels. They are basically a legion. Still, to this day.
They just lie about it.
Yeah. They
straight up.
They work with each other all the time. Like, they are still a legion, for better or worse. If the Lion... And here's the other crazy thing. The Lion himself, he can fucking teleport. He has an ability called the Forest Walk. So what the fuck are the Grey Knights going to do if suddenly a forest opens up in front of them and outsteps the Lion, the guy who his biggest and most well-known quote is, "Loyalty is its own reward," and you're threatening his dad? Caldor Drago's impressive. The Lion would cut him in half.
It's a terrible thing.
Yeah. Like, the fact of the matter is that...
Not to mention all the fucking... Like, all the stuff that the Dark Angels have. It's all Dark Age shit.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that... They have an iron fucking... They have one of the Men of Iron. Just chilling out in a fucking rock somewhere.
Yep. Not to mention, the Dark Angels are the best duelists in the Imperium. Like, these guys practice swordsmanship all the fucking time. They are really good. The Grey Knights are good in melee. The Dark Angels are even better. So if the Dark Angels show up, you're going to find another army full of Terminators, because they have the Deathwing, the best Terminators in the Imperium. You're going to have that army show up in front of you, led by their fucking Primarch, and all of their successor chapters, so it's another legion. The Grey Knights lose. There is no, like, and this is what annoys the piss out of me, is here's the dumbest thing. Why would the Emperor, if he resurrected himself, want to leave the Golden Throne anyway? It was always his intention to sit on it. Like, even when Magnus... Because it was built, like, it was there, like, he intended for Magnus to be the guy who largely, like, was on it as well, to help him out, if not take over someday. But, ultimately, when that didn't work out, he's just like, alright, this is what I gotta do. And he did it. So why would he... Why would he... Like, if you think that the Emperor doesn't understand that if he gets off that fucking throne, humanity is fucked. Like...
Well, at least Earth, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose Earth... The galaxy at large, because of the lack of the Astronomicon.
Yeah. Because, like, the Imperium Nihilus right now is having so much trouble just even getting anywhere. The only reason that they were able to for a little bit was because of Mephiston. Because he has apparently, like, the dark side of Sanguinius's soul has merged with him. That's why he's a different person now than he was before. Because what was his name beforehand? Callisterius?
Yeah.
I think? Yeah. So, because the psychic echo of a Primarch would be, especially Sanguinius, would be really substantial. So, as it stands, like, it reeks of a Matt Ward thing. It's just not very well thought out, and it's kind of hilarious because everybody's just like, so the Grey Knights, like, the Terminus Decree is basically, oh, you guys just go and hero yourselves. Like, goddamn, man.
Fucking annihilate. Go get annihilated, son. On my order.
Get rotated, idiot.
Fuck. And then their little fucking, like, moon chapel's just gone too, right? It would just be gone within hours.
Oh yeah, because after they kill all the Grey Knights, they're gonna go to Titan and just destroy their chapel, their barracks. It's over. They'll just wipe them clean and just pretend they never existed. It'll be the lost Primarchs all over again.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So for those of you, if you were seeing on social media, like, the Terminus Decree and stuff like that, that is effectively what happened. It is the dumbest shit. But if nothing else, it is good for a laugh because, God, the Grey Knights are so fucking cringe.
God, I hate them.
Yeah. Alright, folks. That is all we got for this week. I want to thank you all so much for listening to us once again. Also, go on to Indiegogo right meow.
Mm-hmm.
And go Black Rhapsody if you have not done so already. This, we are at 20% funded already.
Pretty good.
Yay.
So after 1 week, that's not bad. Not bad at all. So, but we gotta do a Ludwig. Let's up those numbers. Oh goodness. Let's up those numbers in a good way, not in a way that gives people alcohol poisoning. But we're doing pretty good so far. But we gotta get there. We want to hit this goal. We want to go beyond this goal. You know, we got to keep building up Grindstone. The only way we can do that, guys, is with your support. So head over to Indiegogo. If you are watching this podcast on YouTube, there will be a link in the description that takes you directly to the campaign. Go back it, and if you're an artist, draw some fan art too. We want to see some fan art. We want more. We want all the fan art. All of it. Give.
Yeah, fan art or cosplay.
Yeah, that too. That's something I definitely want to see more of in the future. But yeah, folks, we appreciate every single one of you for backing these books, for helping us get this stuff moving. I have no doubt that Black Rhapsody Book 2 is going to be another successful campaign under our belt, and we're just going to keep this sucker going. Also, good news, I got in the other set of t-shirts for the Inglewood 2 campaign. I am wearing the one that I got for myself right now. It is super comfortable. The material is a little thick, so it's really good for the winter. But during the summer, it might be a little bit too much for you. So if it's not a summer shirt, I understand completely. Somebody has asked, actually, if we're going to do sleeveless shirts in the future. Hell yeah. We are definitely going to do it. So, but, and I want to do, like, sweatshirts and stuff like that, too, at some point as well. So, I want to thank all of you so much for listening to us every week, for supporting the company, and for just hanging out with us all the time. We love all of you, very much so. So, with that note, we are going to go ahead and bring this to a close. For Serena and Mike, my name is Micah Curtis, the head of Grindstone Arts. Have yourselves a great rest of your week.
Bye-bye.
Frick.